This eclipse season, the energy is not slowing down. Here we go now with a Scorpio full moon that is going to be just as transformative, just as fated, and maybe just as intense as the eclipses that we've been through. This full moon is special because it's getting a square from Pluto, and we haven't had Pluto in a lot of the stories lately. It's always there in the background. Pluto is our biggest transformer. It purges and it brings up fears and trauma to be released. The purging is offering a rebirth, and that's something we have to look forward to. But the process could be jarring, and we are still in a Mercury retrograde, which is going back over stuff that we need to sort out. And just coming out of this Uranus-Jupiter conjunction, which is a huge curveball, very positive energy, but there's a lot of stuff in the stars right now that is shaking us to the core and shaking out all of that garbage that we don't need to carry forward with us. This full moon in Scorpio is happening at 4 degrees. So if you have any planets or placements or cusps anywhere from 0 to 10 degrees, you're going to feel this more than others. But everybody's going to get a taste of this transformative energy that is on its way. It's happening Tuesday, April 23rd at 4:48 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And Pluto is here to shake things up. Pluto wants to purge anything that isn't needed going forward. And as we know as humans, sometimes that purging process can be a bit uncomfortable, but so worth it afterwards. This full moon has the potential to show us what we haven't wanted to look at. Scorpio is an energy where we see behind the veils, we understand the deep psychology going on underneath and in our own experiences, but also with other people's experiences as well. Because this is a full moon energy, it is about either ending a culmination of some kind or an illumination where we're seeing what we didn't see before. And that's sometimes the first step of a deep transformation, is really understanding things in a level that we didn't see before and then being able to take appropriate action. With a challenging aspect from Pluto, with a square to this moon in Scorpio, this has more of an uncomfortable energy behind it, that what we're seeing and what we're tapping into might not feel good in the moment. But it definitely will feel much better afterwards, because what we're tapping into is what's always running in the background. Scorpio knows this better than other signs, that just because you don't see it or you don't pay attention to it or you don't talk about it doesn't mean it's not there. So whatever heaviness we're ready to put down, whatever baggage we're done with, this is a great opportunity to have that show up and then make room for the new later on. With a full moon in Scorpio, I have to talk about the things that we want to hide and that there's no running from them at a time like this. This is not the time to avoid difficult feelings, shame, blame, other emotions that show up in society that we would rather believe don't exist. This is a time to embrace that dark side and see what is workable with it. It's through the darkness that we connect as humans sometimes. It's through shared emotions that are really difficult that bring us together. Those are the most bonding moments. And I think that is really important in a Scorpio full moon, that you can't hide from that which is uncomfortable. We just have to walk through it. And hopefully we can walk through it with people that share the same experiences and are willing to hold each other's hands and walk each other home, as they say. This is a time to if you don't want to do it with other people, that's fine. But it is a time to just move through it all and not shy away from the stuff that is a little bit more uncomfortable and maybe seen as not as good by society. But that doesn't mean that everything doesn't have its place. We strive to be good and happy and have the more pleasurable expression of emotions that humans can experience. But that's not the full story. And a Scorpio will tell you that. A Scorpio will call you out on any kind of BS that you are wanting to cover up some of the more real, raw stuff about life. So here we go. This is an energy where it could get very raw and very real. And my hope is that you can just embrace it the best way possible and know that this is part of the beauty of the human experience. And it's not always beautiful, but it is what bonds us, and it is what helps us get to those places that are more blissful. Thank you for being here. Thank you so much for liking, subscribing, chatting with me in the comments. It is so much fun. And now watch your sun, moon, and rising in the sign by sign. You can find the timestamps in the description and comments below, and I'll see you there. Hi, Virgo. Are you ready to transform your day-to-day life? Pluto is on this long journey through your 6th house where your day-to-day life, your work, and your service to others is up for deep transformation. Maybe you're already feeling some of the fears around this transformation, and this is a full moon that's going to really light the way for you. In Scorpio, this is your 3rd house, and this could have to do with short distance travel, communication, siblings, media, any kind of writing projects, or essentially just the way you communicate with others and the way that you use your mind on a day-to-day level, your day-to-day experiences. And there's also a lot of activity in Taurus across from Scorpio, and this is about the bigger perspective for you. This is foreign places, foreign travel, foreign concepts, spiritual concepts. This is where you get an understanding of the world based on learning about other people's experiences and perspectives. And ultimately that transforms your own. So these are big topics for you right now. There's a lot of energy in partnership. You could be going through an activation of wounds when it comes to other people's resources, how you connect in deep, intimate ways, how you're supported by others. And Virgo, you're a sign that is really independent when it comes to taking care of yourself and taking care of others. You're not necessarily the best sign at receiving support. And there could be some elements of that that have been activated this month that are coming into more awareness at the time of this Scorpio full moon. Maybe this is about communicating your needs, and if you can communicate those, then more likely your intimate connections are going to feel better, and there's more of a chance of being supported by other people in the way that you need. In some ways, with what happened on April 20th with your Jupiter-Uranus conjunction in the 9th house, this is a curveball of a change of perspective of the world. Maybe some foreign places or foreign people are coming into your life and turning things upside down. And that could be part of what's changing your day-to-day life. Maybe the work and the service that you provide for others. And as a sign of service, you are very likely in some sort of work where you support other people. But it's important to have that balance where other people are also supporting you, Virgo. So something could be, you could be facing fears around work, around changing the work that you do. And maybe this is affecting your overall perspective on life and how you communicate. If you have any unhealthy habits, this is a time when they could be transformed. And especially if these habits are affecting the way that you communicate and perceive the world, there might be some radical shifts that happen and something that is illuminated that helps this process for you. Death could be a topic that comes up, and it doesn't mean that you're necessarily going to go through it with anyone you know, but there could be some processing or topics around death that are more on the forefront for you around this time. With Mercury still retrograde, it's very likely that these are topics from the past that you're revisiting. Mercury is going to go direct a few days after this full moon, and it's going to gain more momentum by the end of the month. So you can look forward to an easier time getting that forward momentum going again towards the end of April. But for now, it's still about revisiting the past and figuring out how to change directions and move forward, especially come May. So don't worry if you don't feel that progress right now. This is still a bit of a walking through the mud energy, and we're going to get to the other side of that really soon. For you, Virgo, look at your communication, look at the ways that you are perceiving the world and the actions that you take every day and how that is working for you or not. If it's time to let some things go, this moon is going to make it easier to do that. And ultimately, this is going to continue to heal wounds that are limiting you from connecting more deeply with others and from receiving the support that is going to make it so much easier to move forward in the work and the service that you do. Virgo, if you are facing fears right now when it comes to transforming your life, in whichever way that's showing up, I like to always say, you need to go through it. You just have to go through it to get to the other side. And sometimes that means things getting a little messy. For me, when I'm changing my habits, they have to get a little messy before I have the motivation to really create that change. And when it comes to facing fear, it can become debilitating and crippling before moving through it and realizing that it's actually not so scary. So have a lot of patience with whatever you're going through, whatever this process means for you. And know that if it shows up in uncomfortable ways through this eclipse season and this full moon, it will get better and easier. And it's when things get really uncomfortable that we don't want to go back to the way things were. The only way that feels comfortable is forward, even if that feels really uncomfortable. It's not as bad as it was in the past, or it's not as uncomfortable as it was to stay the way we were. So, however this is showing up for you, Virgo, I hope that all of the motivation that you need to create this new transformed life is feeling good. And if it's not, just give it a couple of weeks and we're going to be into a bit of a different season. See you next time. Hi, Libra. This is a second house full moon for you in Scorpio. So any fears that you have around self-worth, money, possessions, are you afraid of losing any of those things? And how are they connected to fun, pleasure, children, and creative expression for you? That's where Pluto is. And Pluto is on this big journey of completely changing what you find pleasurable, especially if you have planets in the fifth house or in Aquarius. So you can check that if you know your personal chart. Regardless, all Libras are going to feel this. If you have children, then children could be part of this story where you're feeling that fears connected to your children are affecting your self-worth and your assets and your possessions. Maybe your child is going through something and you need to let go of some possessions or money or resources to help them out. This, on an energetic level, could have a lot more to do with, do you feel worthy? Is being a parent challenging your self-worth and making you feel like you're just not good enough? Regardless of whether or not you have children, those themes could come up. And that's what's being exposed at the time of this Scorpio full moon. Everybody has a lot of value and a lot to offer in this world. And it's in the smallest ways that that shows up. And I think we forget about that sometimes, that it's not being this big, glamorous, important person in the world, though that has its place too. But it's those tiny things that you do as a person that matter so much in this world, and especially if this relates to your children. Now, if you don't have children, this could be your creative projects, this could be dating if you're single, this could be romance and how you experience that. What is your initial connection like with other people? Do they see your worth? This Pluto activation in your 5th house is transforming what your initial bonds with other people are like. And this full moon is on an axis of assets and value. It's also going to activate the 8th house, which has to do with other people's resources and how other people support you. This leads to deep, intimate connections as well, which is a part of the topics of this house. On April 20th, you had this magical Uranus-Jupiter conjunction, which could create a radical transformation and healing when it comes to other people's resources, intimate connections, and how they support you. So if you're dating, maybe you've recently had an experience that really transformed how you perceive intimate connections. And maybe that's going to transform how you date and meet people moving forward. If the 5th house is not about dating for you and it's about creativity or children, or just letting your God-given talents shine through, this full moon is likely shifting how you value yourself. And that's going to create a different type of creativity, a different type of bonding, and a different way that you lead and show people your worth. This could just have to do with money and possessions. So maybe it's time to let go of some of those. Full moons can be endings. Or if you've been wanting to make a big purchase for a long time, maybe that's showing up and this is a manifestation moon for you. Do wait until after Mercury retrograde for any big financial changes. That's going to start to move direct a few days after this full moon. And the longer you wait to the end of April and into May, then that's just going to provide more clarity for how to handle this if it's a financial situation. When Mercury goes direct, you're in the clear technically for bigger purchases and moving forward in any contracts or big decisions you need to make. But the stronger Mercury gets, the more clarity you're going to have and the less chance of going back over things. You still have a lot of energy in your partnership house, Libra, and because this year's eclipses are affecting your axis, you're still really in this partnership energy. So it could be that you're having partnership stuff show up with wounds, and this affects how you feel supported by other people. Perhaps in a partnership situation, if you have children together, then there are some conflicting ideals around values, and your children are accentuating that for you right now. And same goes for dating. Maybe you're in the dating process and a conflict of values is starting to really show and it needs to be addressed. And this ultimately is going to lead to middle ground and a healthier bond that is beneficial to both people when you understand what each person needs and how to meet somewhere in the middle. Libra, you could have had some slowing down in the work life and day-to-day life. This is a bit of a side note, but still an energy that's important. at the time of this full moon. So if you've been feeling less motivated with work and getting things done, or you're less able to do your daily tasks, maybe a type of service that you do is changing, or you're just cutting out some long held habits that are up for change and time for change. So I want to make a mention of that. It goes with the themes of money and children and creative projects. Sometimes there's a necessary slowdown before this transition can happen, and it really fits with the Mercury retrograde energy that's happening too. So don't be hard on yourself if you're experiencing a lot of slowdowns. These are necessary, and it's going to give you more time to reflect and figure out how you want to move forward when we gain more momentum again in May. So Libra, I hope that everything is going well for you, and keep in mind that ultimately whatever's shaking things up, this is going to benefit your self-worth. This is going to benefit your assets and your creative projects, and how you have fun and derive pleasure is the ultimate long-term challenge that you're going through. So have a little fun in the process. I'll see you next time. Scorpio, this is your full moon. So this is a big transformation in whatever you are going through. This can really affect any part of your life. With Pluto in the story, this is likely very connected to home. This is your deep inner world, the stuff that you don't share with the rest of the world. This can be your actual home or the place that you grew up. Something that's changing with you is connected to these fears or this purging process that you're going through, and it comes to your home life. So maybe you are really going through some healing and transformation with your family lineage and the way that you were raised and brought up. That is not what you're bringing forward with you. So this purging is about releasing the ways that you grew up and creating something brand new. This could be creating a whole new you. Maybe you're not operating on the same way, the way that you were raised to operate. You are now living this whole new experience of self, has been created because of the things that you believe in, not because of the way that you were taught that the world works when you were young. Scorpio, there is some magic that is happening in your partnerships for you, and some of that magical, radical transformation that's maybe unexpected and very healing is part of this story for you about what's really transforming with you. Now, my personal hope is that with a moon like this, a Scorpio feels more comfortable expressing what's in your inner world, that darkness that resides in all of us. A Scorpio knows that better than anybody. You see right through the facade that people like to show, and you see what's really going on in a deep psychological background to everybody. But not everybody sees that about you. So my hope is that whatever's going on with significant others in your life, that this is helping you express who you truly are to the world. You might have been feeling recently like your creative juices were stifled. This is the Mars-Saturn conjunction in Pisces in your 5th house, which can create a dampening to what's normally a fiery energy around your creativity. Or something is cutting a heavy energy that's been slowing you down in your creative process and your true, genuine self-expression. And that's shifting, and you're becoming hopefully more expressive in who you truly are. So that's an energy that's alongside this moon. And I think it's quite significant because the 5th house and the 1st house where this moon is, the 5th house is where you've had the Saturn-Mars conjunction and a lot of energy and your creative expression. But those two go hand in hand. So who you truly are is as a person really is about your creative expression and what you can give to the world and express that true nature of yourself. And you're really tapping into the home life, the way that you were raised, the way you operate at home, and maybe showing more of that to the rest of the world. Lots of potential energy for you, Scorpio. If you are feeling that wounds have been activated in your day-to-day life and your habits and how you get work done in the world, just know that that's also somehow part of the story of being more in your own energy. And this full moon is really giving you an opportunity to step into that and be more authentically you than maybe you have been for quite some time, and have that show up in how you operate on a day-to-day basis, how you show up for your partnerships. Definitely something's going on with how other people show up for you, which looks like a wonderful energy. And that could be part of what is healing and part of Pluto's job to transform your inner world, where you grew up, your home life, how that snowballs into bringing the past into our current existence, and the control that you have to create a whole new existence based on what you want this world to look like, not what your family brought you into, and possibly not what your partner brings you into, though I see that being a really pleasant merging, that there's some synergy with your partnerships that's really working in your favor. So looks lovely overall, Scorpio. Nobody can handle a Pluto full moon in Scorpio like you can. So let me know in the comments below how this is going for you, because I really think that Scorpios can support the rest of us more at this time than ever. So I would love to hear what you're going through and what you have to share with the world. I'll see you next time. Hello, Sagittarius. This is a full moon in your 12th house. So something hidden could be coming to light. This could have to do with overseas places, your connection to the unseen realm. This is the hidden part of our chart. So ultimately, you're going to have to tell me what's going on in your life. Please leave a comment below. I would love to hear how this 12th house full moon is showing up for you, because I find that 12th house energy is just hard to pin down. That's the nature of it. With Scorpio there, I feel like this is most likely subconscious shadow energy that's been running your life, and there's going to be an illumination around that shifts your day-to-day habits, the way you operate in a day-to-day way. And there's some unexpected healing and revolutionary energy that has to do with health and service and work and your day-to-day existence and habits. So when you are exposing and clearing and shifting some of these subconscious patterns, that certainly has an effect on how you operate on a day-to-day life. Saturn-Mars conjunction is a really big deal. It can sometimes be a painful one. For you, that has been happening, and this is a energy that's closing, but since the eclipses, you've probably been feeling it, where your home life and your internal world, the place that you grew up in, and maybe the foundations that your family created are being severed. There's something that's really being cut off and shifted that's been there for a really long time. It's healing some important parts of your chart when it comes to how you creatively express. There might be some recent wound activation with these Chiron activations in your 5th house. So this can also rule dating or just how you derive pleasure and fun in the world. Ultimately, how you express yourself creatively. And these are all hot houses right now for you. Something is being transformed with your subconscious behavior. Something that you did not see is being illuminated, brought to light. This is probably something that you were raised to do or raised to believe or you adopted from your family lineage. And it's affecting your creativity, and it's affecting how you operate in the day-to-day world. So your habits, your work, your service, your health. If you are a Sagittarius that has been dealing with any kind of health concerns, then this Uranus-Jupiter conjunction that's still going on at the time of this full moon, but was exact on April 20th, is creating unexpected revolutionary healing. This is a really big deal. It is a really magical energy. So whether there are habits that need to go or just your daily life needs to change, this is just radical, quick change that you've been waiting for. And I really do think this has to do a lot with the full moon for you, that this illumination and radical change is probably a really big download from your connection to the spiritual realm that is transforming your subconscious and therefore transforming your family lineage, patterns, how you operate, how you create. This energy could have to do with overseas places and faraway lands. It can have to do with retreats. So you might feel, even though this is a full moon and it usually activates a lot of energy, you might feel a bit more like you want to separate yourself from the day-to-day grind and just take a break. And if you feel compelled to do that, do it, Sag. So you are somebody that generally has a lot of energy and you are out there in the world doing things and moving forward. But a full moon in your 12th house is an excuse to just rest and give yourself a break and give yourself some downtime. This is a lot of energy that looks to me like internal processing. Now, I haven't mentioned Pluto yet. So Pluto is in your 3rd house of communication and your mental habits, the way that you express what's going on in your internal world. So actual writing projects can be a part of this, emails, short distance travel, siblings, neighbors. Big emphasis on communication. So whatever is going on in these other parts of your chart that I've mentioned, this Pluto transformation is at the core of the energy that is being worked on right now. So it all comes down to your communication, Sag. And that might be changing your habits, changing your creative projects. Maybe you are deciding to take a different path when it comes to how you work on a day-to-day basis with your communication and your creative projects. There's some revamping there. Maybe it's short distance travel and maybe it's siblings, and maybe because of this 12th house full moon, it's something that you just did not see coming. You didn't expect. This was in your blind spot. So with all of these different houses activated, there could be a lot of different stories playing out, Sag. Let me know in the comments below how this is showing up for you. The 12th house stuff is always a bit of a mystery and a hard one for me to read, but please do share. And I hope that this full moon brings many subconscious blessings and illuminations to you. Maybe you are going through a heightened time where you're connecting to the unseen realm and working with energy and working in a spiritual practice or overseas. It's changing some very core parts of your chart when it comes to home, creative projects, dating, health, and work, and ultimately communication. So enjoy, Sag, and I will see you next time. Hi, Capricorn. This is a full moon in your 11th house. So this is all about friends, community, networks, long-held wishes coming true. And there's some connection to the house of fun, joy, creative expression, and that has to do with your children. So with what's going on with Jupiter and Uranus conjunction, this unexpected healing, revolutionary change, this has to do with how you derive pleasure. maybe something to do with your children if you have children, or creative projects. So if you're working on anything creative, or you just operate in a very creatively expressive way so that you are somebody that's shining your God-given talents and using them on a regular basis. However that shows up for you, this is the axis that this full moon is happening on. So you could go through endings or new beginnings with community and networks, audience, people that are paying attention to you. And there could be some element that has to do with creativity and or children. Looks like there's some restriction, struggle, maybe a bit of dampened energy when it comes to communication, siblings. This is your closer community, like your neighbors, cousins, close relatives. This Saturn journey here is really transforming how you communicate and how you express yourself. This is the practical methods of expression. So the activity that you have in your 5th house with this full moon is about how you creatively express. Where you're going through more restructuring lessons is happening where you practice the art, the actual details of getting the words out. Maybe it's short distance travel. If you've been doing any short distance travel, you might have had some delays or run into some frustrations in that department. But you could also be frustrated with communication and how you're speaking, maybe how others are speaking. You're noticing that and getting frustrated and deciding that it's time to change how you communicate yourself. It is through others that we get to experience those mirrors of reality. So when we see something in somebody else that is annoying and frustrating, realize maybe we have similar behavior, and then it's a great opportunity for implementing change there. So it could have started with frustration. Maybe this full moon is showing you really how you want to connect with your community and what you want your bigger connections to look like. And perhaps one step of that process is the actual formalities around writing and communicating, but also maintaining a level of creativity and make it uniquely you. There could be some wounds that were activated when it comes to home life, your living situation, your internal world. How has that been going lately? And if you've been feeling unsettled at home, take note of what it is that feels uncomfortable. And that's an area where you want to give yourself more nurturing right now. It's also an area where you can nurture others. So you might have this extra sensitivity with home-related matters and your internal world. And that, if that's the case, the point is to give yourself a bit more coziness, give yourself what you need at home to feel really good, and give yourself what you need to address some of that internal stuff, maybe even from your family and what's been passed down through generations to you. And you're now focusing on this and creating some change. So those are some of the side transits that are happening alongside this full moon. The big picture is really, what fears do you have around connection and community? As a Capricorn, you probably see the dark side of your larger networks, that you see the things that are a bit more disturbing, and maybe some Capricorns have a tendency to shy away a little bit more because of this. But I think the healing comes from figuring out how to coexist with some of the things that you see that you don't like about your community. And those very things could be triggering some of this home-related hurt. Could be transforming how you want to communicate, or at least having you focus a little bit more on which details of communication are working, which ones are not. How to make that all one package so that you can get along with others better. And it's not that you don't get along with others, it's just that there's always room for improvement when it comes to connecting with like-minded people, when it comes to connecting with our community at large, and in a way that is fulfilling. Because Capricorn, you are an energy where there's more of a practical purpose behind everything that you do. If your community doesn't serve you on a practical level, doesn't fit your needs, you're less likely to engage for pleasure. And this moon is asking you to look at some of those blocks that make you push people away, or not necessarily push people away, but keep the connections perhaps not as close as they could be, which then keeps a level of separation between you and community. So this is, again, not your closest friends, not your closest family members necessarily, but because there's at-home related activity that's connected to this, that could be part of the picture. But when I talk about your networks, this is your larger community. This is maybe the people that live in the same town as you. If you have an audience, it is those people, or work networks. So how can you make more space for your own creative expression and a sense of merging greater community? Let me know how this one is turning out for you, Capricorn. Tell me about some of this full moon Scorpio energy in your 11th house. What kind of stuff are you noticing in your communities that either attract you to them or draw you back? And hopefully there are a few ways that can make you feel closer to the world at large. And for you, Capricorn, Pluto wants to purge anything that's holding you back from having more self-worth, more abundance, maybe changing your possessions altogether. If you are somebody that is attached to wealth and possessions, you could go through some transformations of loss, maybe giving things up as a way of healing that attachment that you have to some of those material assets. Maybe you're transforming how you eat, how you nourish your body. And you have just gone through a big Pluto transformation of self. So depending on how this is showing up in your personal chart, Pluto can be a bit easier in the second house. Still a theme worth mentioning at the time of this full moon, because there is a difficult connection from Pluto to the moon when it comes to your creative potential and expressing who you truly are, your God-given talents, and the people you surround yourself with, who you consider community and allies. Pluto is going to create some agitation with who you are as a person, how you feel about yourself, how you feel about your assets and possessions, and how that reflects in your creative process with your community and with your children. So again, a big overlapping theme, but whatever comes up with this Pluto stuff, keep in mind that this is about having a healthier connection to yourself, how you treat your body, and a healthier connection to the material possessions that you have, how you use your energy and how you use your money. If a challenge comes up, maybe with even how you have fun or how your community reflects your spending, then keep that in mind, that you've got this, you are used to the Pluto energy at this point, and it's one more step in purging any fears you have connected to worth, assets, energy, and how you use them. I'll see you next time. Hi, Aquarius. You are getting used to Pluto in your sign. So how is that feeling so far? Are you noticing more fears, more disruption, more awareness of some of the psychological baggage that you carry around? Maybe your body is completely transforming, or with an energy like this full moon is in your 10th house, which is all about public image, reputation, career. This could be a forced transformation of how you present yourself to the world. As an Aquarius, you typically don't care how other people see you. There could be many other things in your chart that negate that, but that is a typical Aquarius energy where other people's opinions matter a lot less than the cause that is deep within your heart and what you are trying to express and get out to the world. You want to be different. You want to be unique. You want to create something that's revolutionary and different than what other people have typically experienced. And you know that that comes with some friction. That when it's new, it's not always going to be received with ease from others. So this is going to be another experience where you're likely to receive some friction about your image and what you want to achieve. Maybe you want to get something done at work that's different and you're getting some kickback from people. This is going to touch your inner world. This is going to, I have a feeling that this is going to reach Aquarius people like it doesn't typically. So you're going to be feeling a little bit more self-aware at the time of this full moon, and you're going to notice a little bit more. You might notice temporarily, maybe you still won't care that much, but you're going to notice any kind of friction that you create with other people. And you're probably going to be using this as a tool to figure out that happy balancing act between being different and revolutionary and extraordinary, because Aquarius, you definitely take the crown for that. And it has to be well received, because a message has no validity if it can't be absorbed. So there is a bit of a dance that needs to happen sometimes where you're pushing something different forward and you want that to be absorbed at least somewhat similar to how you perceive it. Other people have to take it in that way to have it mean something and go somewhere. You might have been feeling restricted and frustrated with possessions, your money, your energy, your self-worth. This friction is part of the story in that if something is challenging your self-worth or your assets or what you value, then that's going to be the fuel to the fire that creates the change where you feel motivated to create that balance of offering a message that's very different and making sure that other people are willing to receive it. So you might have to alter that message a little tiny bit, but it's going to be worth it, because when what you have to offer is taken in, it means so much more than if what you have to offer is never received by another person. There could be some recent wounds when it comes to how you communicate. There's something activated with either siblings, neighbors, cousins, short distance travel. I think ultimately this third house activity is about communication and what you're writing, what you're reading, what you're speaking, what you're learning. How is that actually coming into something functional and concrete and usable? And it really fits some of the other energy that's showing up with this moon when it comes to getting your message across and being seen for who you truly are, which I love for Aquarius. So I hope that if you're experiencing any friction, you just take it as a tiny leaping pad to create something that is just slightly different. But yeah, get your unique Aquarius energy out there. And at the same time, this is healing deep inner wounds. So because of your family background, how you were raised, whatever situation at home, there's revolutionary healing energy happening there. And this has to do with you, because this is your ruling planet Uranus. And with some beautiful Jupiterian energy, which is so healing and expansive. And I expect this to be quite beautiful. So maybe something surprising happens with your actual home. That's a possibility. And if you're not going through unexpected changes with your actual home, then it's going to be more of an inside job and what's going on in your inner world that is going through some radical transformation. And I don't foresee this as, even if there's a little bit of a struggle in the moment, Aquarius, you love radical transformation. You are the sign that creates that energy in the zodiac. So I see this as a really good era for you. And again, if you're experiencing some frustrations and delays when it comes to energy, money, possessions, how you communicate, know that that is part of the bigger picture of getting something out there to the public that is really well received and uniquely you. And there's going to be, in the end, a beautiful amalgamation of both. Let me know what's going on for you, Aquarius. I would love to hear how you're expressing yourself lately and how that is feeling with the receptivity from everyone else. And it could mean big career changes and big blessings with home and career. And I hope that's the case. I'll see you next time. Hi, Pisces. This full moon is in your 9th house. So this is all about foreign places, foreign concepts, spirituality, learning, higher learning, your perspectives on the world. This full moon energy is big mental energy. So how you use your mind on a day-to-day level, what your words express, how your words express your creative mind. With this being in Scorpio, your creative mind, Pisces, can be dark sometimes. Your perspective on the world can be dark in a good way. Let me clarify that. But how do you express this to other people? Is your perspective and your worldviews, are they really getting across in the right way? Pluto in your 12th house is likely asking you to use your intuition even more. You are revolutionizing your connection to the unseen realm. For some of you, this might have to do with overseas places. So you might be traveling, going to overseas locations. Maybe there's something to do with an ocean and transformation when it comes to that for you. Retreat and getaway, how you rest, how you take time away from the world. On an energetic level, a lot of you Piscean energy people are going through a revolutionary change when it comes to how you connect with the unseen realm, which I really want some of you Pisces to share this in the comments below, because I can't imagine how a Pisces of all the signs in the zodiac is going through an even deeper revolutionary change when it comes to your connection with the unseen realm. You are already the sign that embodies this the most out of the zodiac. So maybe you're facing some of your fears with the connection with the unseen realm. If you are somebody who shuts yourself off from spiritual connection and energetic connection, if you're a Pisces, you are very likely getting some sort of energetic depletion and not living life in the way that's healthiest for you in an energetic way, because you're blocking this out. So if that's the case, you're going to be, at this moon especially, facing some of your fears around why you don't want to connect with that energy. You're going to be figuring out how to make it work for you and how to share that with other people, which the world could really use right now, because a lot of people are going through an awareness of life outside of human form and what that means and what it means to operate on a level that is more connected to the energy than our physical bodies. We want to pay attention to both, but the energy change is where the true physical change happens. Maybe you're a leader in that. Maybe you are starting to cross into a role where you're a teacher and a guru for other people that are learning that there's a big energetic world out there that we're all perceiving and feeling all the time, that the messages might not just be interpreted well or at all. This is going to be a big focus for you at the time of this full moon, Pisces, and in the process, you might be seeing some of the dark side and facing some of your fears around being a teacher, a leader, some of the spiritual connection that you have in this world, and how you can help other people with their spiritual connections too. In the process, you might be facing some limitation or restriction with yourself, with your body, how you're viewed by the world. You might find that you need to filter to a certain degree to help other people in this process, or filter to a certain degree what you're going through at the moment. If you're going through a big spiritual transition, maybe you feel like other people don't get it and you're facing a lot of restriction in how people perceive you, and that's creating some challenges, but challenges that you're going to break through. So with Pluto in your 12th house, any fears that are woken up at this time, or any fears that are brought to the surface right now, when it's Pluto, it's a breakthrough moment. It might feel like you're being pulled under the wave at first, but then you come up and hit the surf, or however that goes, and it's an amazing ride. So let me know how that's going for you. In this process of restricting self, you're also facing some restriction when it comes to your self-worth, or some pain and past hurts with the Chiron activation there. This could have to do with money and how you expend your energy too. So maybe this is just all about how you funnel energy through the world, Pisces, that you are one of the signs that is more channeled than any other sign. So you're taking on energy from other sources, sometimes other beings, and you're channeling it through into this physical realm. And any challenges that you're facing right now are helping you improve that method of channeling so that people really truly understand you. Personally, I think Pisces is one of the most misunderstood signs of the zodiac, because most people operate in a very practical, day-to-day, in this world way. And Pisces don't necessarily, depending on your chart, of course. So there's just naturally, like Aquarius, you just operate differently than maybe the norm, if that's safe to say. And I don't want to make that a blanket statement. Of course, there are many Pisces who feel very connected to their people and feel like they relate to everybody. And Pisces can do that because you're so in tune with everybody's energy. But even though you feel everybody else, it doesn't mean that everybody else really gets you. And that's a big part of what's happening at this full moon. And the blessings are coming through siblings, short distance travel, communication, expression, writing, neighbors, potentially. With Uranus and Jupiter in your 3rd house, you're going through some unexpected revolutionary change when it comes to how you communicate, how you use your mind on a day-to-day level, how you practically express the higher energy that's moving through you. I think that a lot of you are a bit more in the limelight right now with being a teacher and a role model for others, and that might feel uncomfortable. It might feel like you have to restrict or change some of the things that you're passionate about. At the same time, you're figuring out that dance of how to express to other people, and like Aquarius, be in this balance where what you're feeling and experiencing, you can translate to others and they can understand you all that much better. Another way that this could show up is any self-sabotaging behavior of escapism that you might have a tendency for is being evaluated, purged, eliminated. This is the energy of facing some of the realities of what escapism can be in its negative form and figuring out how to release anything that is driving you towards some unhealthy behaviors that are holding you back, bringing more healthy balance into that. So for a small few of you, that could be part of the story. But the bigger picture is still your connection to the unseen realm, but it does include how you find healthy escape and retreat from the world and its pressures. And Pisces needs that more than other signs too. So you do need to find that healthy escape and a good balance between being in the physical, getting things done, and really finding that time to yourself. Have a good one. I hope this moon is treating you well. I'll see you next time. Hi, Aries. This is a full moon in your 8th house. So this is all about other people's resources, how you're supported by other people, your deep, intimate bonds and connections. The 8th house rules pregnancy, if that applies to some of you. So there is some sort of culmination, ending, big illumination going on when it comes to resources, support from other people, how you balance your own energy and the energy you receive from others. You are going through a lot of transformation with self. This is your eclipse year. We just went through an Aries eclipse on April 8th, and something very likely changed with you at that moon. It's a brand new beginning for how you want to move forward and how you want to operate in this world, how you want other people to see you. And you're breaking through wounds that have been running in the background. So they might have been activated. It could have to do with romance. You're going through this eclipse season, which has to do with yourself and other people overall this year. So that is a really big theme if you're in a romantic relationship or you're trying to figure out romantic connections. This is the moon where you get deep, where you get intimate, where you really show somebody else who you truly are. And there could be some uncomfortable energy that's going on with your friends, networks. Pluto is here to transform your community at large. Any fears or dark side of connection and community is showing up at this moon too. And it's, even if it's uncomfortable, it is here to fuel your intimate bonds. It's here to make things deeper with your community. Pluto in your 11th house, the 11th house usually rules connections that are a bit more distant. They don't have the most intimacy, and they are not people that see you at the depths of who you are necessarily. But that could be something that you're transforming, that you want your greater community and network at large to have a deeper, intimate layer. But you don't want it to just be on the surface or not have meaning. This is a big moon about having deeper meaning for you. And you're going through some restriction and frustration when it comes to your ability to retreat from the world, overseas travel. This could be your connection to the unseen realm and the spirit world. There's something there that with Mars and Saturn that is either breaking through old patterns or restricting your passion when it comes to those things. So maybe for the time being, you're closing off your connection to the unseen realm. Maybe for the time being, you don't have a lot of time alone. Maybe that's something that you're missing, or you are trying to figure out a new way to do that. But I think for those of you that are in a romantic relationship, this has to do with your significant partner and how you bring them into that part of yourself that is more hidden from the rest of the world. You've been on this journey of self-worth and assets and money and how you use your energy. This moon is amplifying that, and you've had Jupiter and Uranus conjunct in that house at the time of this moon, which means that there's some unexpected revolutionary change when it comes to how you nourish your body, how you spend your resources, whether that's financial or energetic. Your self-worth is blossoming in ways that maybe you didn't even expect. And that is part of this story. When your self-worth changes, your material assets change, how you spend your money changes, and how you connect with other people in deep, intimate ways and also use the resources from others changes. Resources from others, you might be figuring out how to get more energy from your community or give and get, give and take. Pluto is squaring this moon energy. This is going to have a layer of community to it. So is your self-worth tied up in your community and your networks and how they see you? And maybe that's starting to transform. You might be taking less of your value from others, or there might be something that's happening in community that's actually giving you this feeling that, yeah, I have more value. I have more to give. I have a lot to offer other people. And Aries, you certainly do. You are the spunk of the zodiac. You have this vitality and passion and motivation and ability to initiate things in a way that other signs don't. And it's infectious. It's contagious. I love that about Aries energy. I'm somebody who I have a lot of low vitality in my chart. And being around an Aries amps that up in ways that no other sign can. So you can be a community leader in that way. And maybe that's part of what's shifting your connection with community, is that you're really seeing yourself in a leadership position. And when you do that, you start to get more support from other people. This is big energy for healing wounds about self. There could be overseas international stuff. And Daryl, I don't think you watch this channel, but international superstar could be part of this story for some of you Aries out there. You're starting to really expand your image, break through fears around connecting with the community at large. This is all feeding your self-worth. This is even any friction that shows up at the time of this full moon, even if you're starting to see the dark side of intimate bonds, I think you're really flourishing in who you are as an individual and how that makes you more connected to other people, deepens your bonds ultimately. In some ways, also helps you tap into your intuitive nature and get even more guidance from that energetic realm that makes you feel more truly you. Beyond this full moon in Scorpio, this is a big year of total transformation when it comes to Aries because of the eclipses. So this is part of that story. This is more about your deep, intimate connections, but this is ultimately transforming who you are as a person and what you have to offer to the world, and making you feel like you really have a lot of value to exchange. Let me know how this is going for you, Aries. I want to hear all about your big glow up, because that's what I see happening right now. And even if you're experiencing some friction, sometimes that's part of the glow up. You know, your community, your networks, you are different. You're being seen in a different light, and sometimes that creates a bit of friction that you just have to continue breaking through. That's what the planets are helping you do right now. Hope you're enjoying every minute of it, Aries, and I will see you next time. Hi, Taurus. This is a partnership full moon for you. So 7th house, this is all about other people, contracts. This is your significant partnerships that are contract basis. It could be work or romance. Something is shifting, changing, ending, coming to fruition when it comes to a significant other. This has to do with your public image, though, because Pluto is here to transform your career and your image in the world, how other people perceive you. So there might be something activated with your partner at this time or completed that changes your status, it changes who you are in the world. Maybe somebody at work leaves and you get a promotion and you're seen in a completely different light. Some of the other energy that's going on is that you have just had this magical Uranus Jupiter conjunction in your house, your first house, which is unexpectedly healing something to do with you. This is a once in a lifetime energy. You are never going to have this happen again well, very unlikely. It happens once every 84 years. So soak in this glory. Whatever is happening, Taurus, you let me know, because this Uranus Jupiter conjunction is something unexpected when Uranus is involved. It is a tower moment. It is something that changes everything about you and who you are. And whether you see that in the moment or not is variable. It might just be an event that years later you look back and realize, oh yeah, April 20th was a really big transformational moment where the way that you used to operate and the way that you were perceived by others is completely different going forward. This can have to do with your body. There is some wound activation when it comes to retreat and escapism and time away from the world. So whether that's you or this is part of what's being activated in another, there's some energy and a story playing out there. You're feeling potentially restricted in your community. There's something that is a bit aggravated with Saturn and Mars conjunction happening in your 11th house. That means that your networks, your community at large, maybe even a wish that you've had for a long time, something is being halted, transformed, erupted. There's a bit of a more uncomfortable energy happening in that part of your life. So maybe your communities and support networks are transforming and there's some endings there, some new beginnings. Maybe that brings a new significant person into your life. That's another possibility for this full moon in Scorpio, your 7th house. Somebody could show up that is here to help, here to support, and maybe transforms your networks and your community and who you connect with. And because of changes with those people, you are being seen differently. Pluto is here for a long stay in your 10th house. This is a 20-year transformation of your public image. Taurus, you're a sign that cares and doesn't care about your public image. You're somebody that's so grounded and solid in who you are that takes a lot of energy to transform. And you've had Uranus in this long stay in Taurus. So if any Taurus is ever going to change in who they are, this is happening now. And this could have been an uncomfortable process for quite some time. Uranus is a long stay, and we have another couple of years before it's out of Taurus. And I've mentioned this before in a couple of other videos, but it's an uncomfortable energy for Taurus. It is not one that gets along well with your grounded, solid nature and your tendency and strength in being very steadfast, knowing who you are. But this is throwing curveballs all over the place. And you've probably been feeling it in episodes and spikes over the last 4 or 5 years or more. A couple more to go. So whatever's changing in you is changing in your community, is changing in your partnerships. And this is one of those moons where you're going to start to see maybe even the dark side of some of your partnerships. But it's important to merge and incorporate the darkness with what you like to gravitate towards, which is more the material pleasures in life. And sometimes those things don't always go together. The dark side, the taboo side of people and nature, and Taurus would rather enjoy the pleasures without facing some of those other uncomfortable details. But this is an energy that's helping incorporate all of it. That I do think in some ways we can have more pleasure when we incorporate some of the harsher truths of life and the harsher truths of other people. So at this time, this is also an energy where you can ask yourself, what is enjoyable about this side of another person that I'm not liking to look at? How can you still make this as pleasurable as Tauruses make everything? How can you transform and create balance with both? And Taurus, that's why you're on the axis with Scorpio. Taurus and Scorpio are on opposing sides because Scorpio embodies all of the depths of the dark side of life, and Taurus is more about embodying all the beautiful, pleasurable, lovely aspects of human existence. But they both exist and they both can be beautiful. So Taurus, this is your mission at the time of this full moon, to incorporate both and put that beautiful Taurus finesse on it that you do. And you are going to start to be seen in a different light by others. Being seen in this different light could mean that you are being seen as somebody who can make room for both. That on the more shadow side of Taurus is that Taurus is pleasure seeking at all costs. And you're very grounded, so not at all costs. You're going to make sure that your assets and your finances and everything's in check and in order. But Taurus might have a tendency to turn a blind eye to that which they don't want to see or acknowledge in another person. And that does not create the ultimate connection in humanity that we want to see. We want to see Scorpio and Taurus combine and really create space for pleasure, beauty, and the more psychologically disturbing parts of human existence. Here you go, Taurus. This is an opportunity to integrate both. This is ultimately going to transform and make your connections to your community that much richer. Some might even have to go and new ones might come in. But because of that, you're going to be somehow seen in a different light, whether that's career, reputation, or other ways. And ultimately, there's going to be a lot more respect and connection with other people. And you're going to be able to connect in deeper ways and not just on the level of pleasure. Not that all Tauruses do that. There's always a blend of both, but this is leveling up to a whole new incorporation of how you can merge with somebody else's darkness and still make that beautiful. No one can do that better than you, Taurus. Hope this energy is treating you well, and I will see you next time. Hi, Gemini. This is a full moon in your 6th house. This is all about work, day-to-day activities, your habits, your daily grind, what you do on a day-to-day basis, how you organize your life, how you serve other people. What's showing up here is a balance between getting all of this day-to-day stuff done and finding some retreat and escape for yourself. You have Uranus and Jupiter conjoining in your 12th house, which is some revolutionary healing transformation when it comes to escape from reality, loss, overseas travel, connection to the unseen realm. Some of you might be having some wild psychic downloads that you didn't see coming. Maybe an opportunity overseas is showing up that you didn't expect. maybe there's something behind closed doors or something that is secret for now that is unexpected and healing happening for you. Whatever this 12th house transformation is really shining light on your daily activities and habits and service and work. So this is all about work and retreat balance. It can be health related. So if you have any unhealthy habits, this is an opportunity for illumination on that topic and how to transform and shift that moving forward. Or maybe this is the end of the road. Maybe you have had some habits and ways of operating in your day-to-day life that are self-destructive and not working well when it comes to how you create a retreat and escape and how you face reality. That balance is being challenged right now, and it's ultimately being challenged by Pluto in your 9th house. This is about your connection to the way that you see the world. Your perspective on life is about to go through a 20-year deep transformation, and at times you're going to face challenging realities about your perspective. And this could be one of those times. So you might have something happen with a teacher or an education process or just your beliefs about how the world works that are really going to challenge how you operate on a day-to-day level. For some of you, this is going to show up as foreign travel, foreign places, being around foreign concepts that start to crack open your perspectives and change that in big ways. You might be feeling some friction or restriction or conflict with your public image. Something to do with how others see you and your role in the world and your status and maybe your career has gone through an uncomfortable change in the last couple of weeks. This can either be restricting your passion around being seen, so your motivation to be a leader and take on that energy. There could be something that is temporarily dampening that so that you restructure your public image and you restructure how you show up as a leader in this world. And that's going to have this layering effect on your daily habits, how you run your life, how you view the world, all topics that are up for discussion. When it comes to your networks and long-held wishes coming true, community, people in the world that are here to support you, you could have had some recent activation of an internal wound when it comes to those support systems. Generally, this has a lot to do with how people see you in the world and how your audience supports you. And if you've experienced friction and difficulty in these departments in the last couple of weeks, this is about the bigger story, about changing how you view the world. Because this has a lot of leadership energy in it, this could have to do with changing how you teach, changing how you express your views to other people and what that means for you as a leader and for those people receiving the message too. So that might have to do with changing what you do on a daily basis and being that role model for others, because you're the one that is showing other people how to manage their day, how to create healthy habits, how to transform that. For some of you, this can be related to health. So if you have any health issues, there could be some illumination to understanding what's been going on at a health level, or it's an ending of any frustrations you've had with your health or something you've been working through. Maybe even for the last 6 months, this is coming to completion and you're moving on to a healthier, happier way of existing. If a health issue is coming to light at this full moon, I think that changing your perspectives in some way is going to be one of the ingredients in getting through this. You have a more negative view of health and the world. Maybe a transformation in your spiritual perspective is part of what can transform your health and habits right now, but it might come through a very uncomfortable point of friction that you might be really frustrated with changing that belief system, that you might have fears around changing your beliefs and a lot of resistance. But Pluto doesn't care if you have resistance. Pluto, the more resistance you have, Pluto is probably going to create a more uncomfortable situation that allows you to transform. So give in to any resistance that you have about changing your beliefs at this time. It's going to happen anyway, but this is ultimately what's going to shift your day-to-day experience to be all that much more enjoyable. Because you have Scorpio ruling your 6th house, Gemini, you might be more able than other signs to see the dark side of the daily world in life. That you might see that habits are ultimately guided by our psychological disturbances in some way, or our habits are here to avoid pain. And that's something that is shifting for you, Gemini. Ultimately, this is about your day-to-day life and balance between retreat and getting things done. Gemini, you're a pretty productive, active sign, so it might be that there's being more light shone on how to retreat, how to rest, how to escape, how to connect with this spiritual realm. And that is creating a transformation in how you view the world and what you prioritize. If you have prioritized the grind, then maybe prioritizing more retreat is what's being asked at the time of this full moon, or vice versa. Ultimately, what you are going to benefit from is that a change of perspective is going to long-term help your ability to feel joy in this world. And it's somehow restructuring your public image and the people that are watching you. If there is pain that comes up at this time with any of those topics, just know that this is part of an activation to move through what's uncomfortable and come back to something that feels more balanced and more enjoyable with how you lead and how you share your perspectives with other people. I hope you're enjoying some lovely retreat and spiritual connection at this time, Gemini, and have a wonderful full moon. I'll see you next time. Hi, Cancer. This is a 5th house full moon for you. This is all about fun, joy, creative expression, God-given talents, and your children if you have them. Scorpio full moon in your 5th house is really about expressing the darker side of you, Cancer. And that's not the side of yourself that you show typically. Cancer, you are this sweet, nurturing, mother-like figure of the zodiac, and when I meet a Cancer, they show their sweetest side forward. But this is about letting your community and your networks see a different side of you. You have Uranus and Jupiter just going through their conjunction in your 11th house on the other side of this full moon, which has to do with your community, your networks, long-held wishes coming true. So something unexpected could happen that fits in that realm. But there's something unexpected that happens with your community and your networks, or a long-held wish coming true, that actually helps you show more of who you are at the core, who you are when it comes to your God-given talents and creative expression, that maybe you have a tendency to conform a little bit more than just really show those dark, deep sides of yourself. Now, if children are part of this picture, then there might be something that you're facing your fears with children, or something is coming to completion or fruition when it comes to the dark side of being a mother or having children. Some of those taboo things that we don't always want to acknowledge when it comes to this picture perfect image of what having a family is all about, or the beauty that you might typically express as your creative side. Well, is there another story there too? Is there something beneath the beauty that is very real, very raw, very much about facing your fears when it comes to creative expression that you have the opportunity to break through at the time of this moon? It might be fueled by the recent Saturn-Mars conjunction in your ninth house that has you really shifting your perspectives. Maybe a teacher has come in or out of your life that has changed your views on the world in some way. Or maybe the way that you are perceiving life and perceiving the world is going through a painful restructuring. That somehow, with the connection of this full moon, you're seeing that the world isn't always a rosy place. And that's okay. It's both disturbing and rosy all at the same time, and that's sometimes what makes things all that much more beautiful in the human existence, is that yes, we strive for this picture perfect image of family and reality and the beauty that the world can possess. However, there's some truth in our perspectives that creates space for that which is also disturbing and shocking and things that we would rather hide from reality. With a fifth house full moon, this could be that some of your fun happens in a very taboo way. So when I say taboo, it means outside of societal norm, that something about your true joy, and this fifth house energy can have to do with dating and romantic pleasure and sexual pleasure. And this is not sexual pleasure for the purpose of a deep, intimate connection or bonding. This is just play. And it can get kinky with Scorpio ruling your fifth house. So that might be something that is coming to light right now at the time of this full moon. And it could really be changing your perspectives on life. Maybe you're realizing that you enjoy pleasure in ways that are not normal in society, and that's a good thing. And it's maybe creating some friction in your beliefs and your values. But pleasure comes in all forms, and this is a time to embrace that energy. Pluto is here to transform your deep, intimate connections with others and how you are supported with other people's resources. So this is a very intimate house. This is where we bond deeply in intimate ways with others in a very soulful way. And you are on this 20-year transformation of that with Pluto. You just got out of 20 years of transformational energy with Pluto in your seventh house of partnerships. So what you're practically looking for in a partnership has gone through its revolutionary change. You'll have a little taste of that in the fall again to revisit. But now you're looking at the depth in your partnerships and the intimate bonds. Because there's fifth house activation and eighth house, I want to mention the topics of sex, because that could be a big part of what's showing up for you. And there's some big transformation that's happening with your ability to really derive pleasure from those experiences and transform the ways that you create intimacy with others. In this process, be some wounds activated when it comes to your public image and how you're seen by other people, how you operate as a leader in this world, and maybe with career. This is alongside the story of the moon, but I think that it's still relevant because there's been a lot of energy here in April, and this could be part of what you're breaking through, that you are caring less about your public image. You're realizing that people are going to see what they're going to see. And when we're wounded in this part of our charts, it is an ability to stand up for who we truly are and be seen for who we are, regardless of our fears and the ways that we've been repressed in the past. Because your 11th house is also activated with the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction, you are finding the right people to support this process for you. So the right communities showing up, the right support, the right network, the right audience. You have a lot of support showing up at the time of this transition. And ultimately, this is about more pleasure, more fun, more creative expression in a way that is true. That's true, sometimes raw. The coziness that a Cancer wants to create, this can be an opposing energy where it goes against what you believe is this beautiful picture of home life and nurturing. And it's, this is the 80s sitcom of a family. This is the image that's coming. It's like, that's what you want to show the world. But is that really what goes on behind the scenes? You're starting to amalgamate the two and create a beautiful image of home life and you and your family, but also having more truth exposed, even if that's uncomfortable. You're finding more pleasure and more intimacy in the process. So I hope that this moon energy is going really well for you, Cancer. You are blasting through some fears when it comes to intimacy, and that is ultimately creating more creativity, more pleasure, more fun, and you are able to really express who you truly are, and that's a beautiful thing. I'll see you next time. Hi, Leo. This is a 4th house full moon for you. So this is all about home, family life, your inner world. This is the side of yourself that you don't always show other people, but something is being illuminated here, and you are creating balance between your career and public image and your inner world. Something radical could have just happened with your career and public image. Jupiter-Uranus conjunction in your 10th house means that how you are seen by others has gone through some radical change, or is about to. Something has started a whole new cycle with your career and public image. And how does that connect to your inner world? How does that connect to your home? For some of you, this could mean your actual home is going through some changes. This can be a brand new place of living that really suits your partnerships better, or maybe because of friction in partnerships. Some of you could be going through some sort of ending with partnerships. That's a small portion of you, but that could be what's changing your home and inner world to a degree. Because Pluto is in your 7th house of partnerships, and that is deep transformation with significant others. These are contract-based relationships, so whether that's romantic, personal, career, these are not your more whimsical friends and connections. These are people that are here for the long run or have a karmic contract with you. And work and career are certainly up for a shift with this kind of energy. You might be feeling some friction when it comes to resources from other people. So maybe that's part of the story where somebody has stopped paying their rent and they're getting kicked out. Maybe a resource or being supported from others is something that you've had as an income for a very long period of time has just been severed. Or maybe you're breaking through some restriction when it comes to how you allow others to support you financially. And that's creating a change in your home environment and your partnerships. Because this is happening in the quadrants of your chart, this is a really big deal for Leos. I see this as being extremely positive for career and reputation, but in the process, you might have to radically transform the significant partnerships you have, and maybe there's some transformation in the cards for your home life too. And if it's not your home, your actual home, then it's your internal world. It is the energy that you have adopted from your family lineage and your ancestors and how you were raised and how that has formed you as a person. And as a Leo, how has that made you the leader that you are? Because Leos are these steadfast leaders in society. You love it. You take on this role more easily than other signs. And of course, it has to do with your individual chart. But this energy has a lot to do with your leadership. So as natural as you are in that department, there could be some next level stuff that's happening right now and transforming with career and reputation. In the process, you might be facing some wounds when it comes to your belief systems. Something is asking for transformation there. You are going through eclipses in that department. So this is fated change in how you view the world, your spiritual perspectives, maybe who you have in the world as leaders and teachers for you. And that translates into how you are a leader in this world. So we are the best leaders moving forward because of the teachers and gurus that we have taken on to change and transform who we are and our personal belief systems. So that's a lot of big energy for you, Leo, but you're a sign who can take on big energy. You are the king of that. So I feel like you're going to sail with it quite well, but keep in mind that if uncomfortable situations show up right now with your partners, your home life, your perspectives, your deep, intimate bonds, ultimately, this is about helping others see you in a better light, helping others see you for the true person that you are deep on the inside. Because that's one of the things I think that is misunderstood with you, Leo, is that people see this bravado, showy energy. And it's because as a zodiac sign, you embody this ability to shine and shine your talents and really express who you are more than other people are able to. So people see that as just this sheer expression, and they sometimes miss the mark with seeing who you truly are underneath that freeness of showiness, because it might make some people uncomfortable. Some people who are less comfortable with the limelight and less comfortable with expression, they might just see that as too contradictory to what they're comfortable with. So the key here is letting other people see who you really are beneath the surface, who you are on the inside, and letting that shine through, which, Leo, you're the most capable of taking on that challenge. So this is going to be no sweat for you, but the reality of life is that sometimes we have to face our fears. We have to face our fears with what other people project back to us. And that could be a part of what's going on, but it's ultimately going to lead to feeling more connected with other people, especially your significant partnerships. You're going to feel more truly seen. It is going to evaporate some of the fears that you have around people seeing who you truly are and still maintaining that leadership status that Leos do. That's sometimes a conflicting energy, that to be a leader, we have to show certain sides of ourselves and maybe not the entire picture. But this is an opportunity to show it all, show your deep down Scorpio nature, Leo. Don't be afraid to express some of that dark side and see how much it's welcomed, because other people are going to be able to relate to that, not just your strength around being seen and being a leader. That comes from sometimes being vulnerable too. I hope this is going really well for you, Leo. Let me know in the comments below what you might be experiencing, and I'll see you next time. This full moon could potentially be a doozy when it comes to what's being revealed and what we're willing to look at in ourselves and other people, and what we're willing to accept in ourselves and other people. So whatever friction shows up for you at the time of this full moon, take it as an opportunity to merge some of the less pleasurable aspects of humanity with the really beautiful, sensual, cozy aspects of humanity. And let's make this an opportunity to see the world the way it really is and still see the beauty behind everything. All the love. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.